Countdown.
Tahniah. Siaran langsung ini dibawakan khas kepada anda oleh Akademi YouTuber Malaysia. Sebuah inisiatif e-didik Malaysia dan Kelab Guru Malaysia. Tumpukan perhatian anda. Siaran langsung akan bermula sebentar lagi. Link sijil akan diberikan di hujung siaran ini. Pastikan diisi dalam tempoh yang ditetapkan. Terima kasih.
Hai.
Hai. Hai, apa khabar semua? Saya Lee Kuek Hui yang berperanan sebagai moderator untuk sesi live hari ini. Selamat sejahtera dan selamat datang ke Pusat Tuisyen AYU, Pusat Tuisyen Percuma yang pertama di Malaysia. Bermula percuma, selama-lamanya percuma. Ini adalah siri kelas tuisyen yang ke-15 dan subjeknya adalah Perakaunan Matrikulasi STPM untuk hari ini. Berikut adalah ahli-ahli dalam konten kita. Presenter kita hari ini adalah Madam Fizi, diikuti dengan host controller Cikgu Faiza, seorang lagi sebagai pemerhati Cikgu JD Yi. Berikut merupakan perkara-perkara yang peserta perlu ambil perhatian. Yang pertama, sila gunakan gambar profil yang bersesuaian dan tutur bahasa yang sopan di ruangan chat. Sila on kamera dan mic jikalau anda dipilih untuk naik ke ruang studio bersama dengan presenter. Yang ketiga, sila tumpukan perhatian terhadap presenter dan hanya menggunakan ruangan chat untuk menjawab soalan atau jika adanya soalan yang ingin ditujukan. Yang keempat, pada akhir siaran ini, link e-sijil akan diberikan dan anda hanya mempunyai selama 30 minit sahaja untuk mengisi maklumat anda. Sila pastikan bahawa nama dan email yang anda beri adalah betul kerana tiada pembetulan akan dibenarkan. Sekarang saya akan perkenalkan presenter kita hari ini dengan lebih mendalam. Nama penuh beliau adalah Azma Zatu Yusfisiati binti Muhammad Yusof. Beliau mengajar di Kolej Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan. Mata pelajaran yang diajar adalah Perakaunan. Pengalaman mengajar beliau adalah selama 18 tahun. Tajuk yang akan diajar pada hari ini adalah Absorption and Marginal Costing. Tanpa membuang masa lagi, saya serahkan kelas kita kepada Madam Fizi. Dipersilakan.
Okey, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat sejahtera semua. Okey, hai, apa khabar? Okey, kita jumpa lagi pada hari ini. Okey, so saya hope student-student especially dekat KMNS tu sekarang tengah sibuk sibuk sebab baru dapat result semalam. Okey, so they all dapat result dengan flying colours tahniah semua student-student matrikulasi dan student-student matrikulasi seluruh negara. Okey, kepada yang dapat for flat tu tahniah lagi sekali, double tahniah. Okey, so hari ni ada majlis apresiasi. Okey, so tahniah balik semula kepada yang dapat sijil. Okey, yang tak dapat sijil pun don't worry, anda tetap hebat. Okey, so hari ni kita akan teruskan kelas kita. So madam harap mana-mana yang tak sempat tu boleh tengok balik video yang ni itulah keistimewaan dia kalau kita buat cara dengan YouTube channel di YouTube ni. So boleh tengok balik boleh tengok berulang-ulang kali. Dan kepada student-student yang masih yang setia bersama saya, okey, terima kasih diucapkan sekali lagi. Okey, so first of all, I want to introduce myself. Okay, so my name is Azma Zatu Yusfisiati binti Muhammad Yusof. from College Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan, and my teaching experience is 8 years in Matriculation College. And before that, I'm working in accounting field in private sector for 8 years. And my channel is Madam Fizi channel. So please subscribe, like and share. Okay, and then I want to introduce my team, Panitia Perakaunan dan Ekonomi Pra-Universiti, Matrikulasi and STPM. Okay, for accounting, consists of Priyati and me, Madam Fizi. And for economy, terdiri daripada Cikgu Lee, Cikgu Lee, our moderator, and also Cikgu Yi, okay, our pemerhati for tonight. Okay, and then in our group, okay, kita pun ada panitia biologi Prayu, STPM and Matrikulasi, that is lead by Cikgu Faiza. Okay, Cikgu Faiza is our control host for tonight. Okay, and the team member are Cikgu Fatia, Cikgu Daini and Cikgu Wawa. And we also have mathematics, for pre-university, lead by Teacher Im. And we also have Kimia Prayu, that is lead by Cikgu Shahnun. And we also have Physics, that is lead by Cikgu Rosmaya. Okay, so tonight, okay, we are going to discuss topic 9, absorption costing and marginal costing. Okay, so the subtopic, for topic 9, okay, we will see the definition of absorption costing and marginal costing, the comparison between absorption costing and marginal costing, okay, to determine the product cost, okay, to see the income statement format, and also the advantages and disadvantages of absorption costing and marginal costing. Okay, so first of all, we look at the definition of absorption costing and marginal costing. Okay, so absorption costing in bahasa Malaysia is pengokosan serapan. So what is absorption costing? Absorption costing includes or absorb all the costs of manufacturing a product, including both fixed and variable costs. And it is also referred as, or other name is a full costing or the full absorption method. And the absorption costing is comply with general accepted accounting principle. Later on, we will see the format of absorption costing. Okay, so the main point is absorption costing absorb all the costs of manufacturing a product, including both fixed and variable costs. Okay, now we will look at what is the definition. What is the definition? Of absorption costing. Okay, how to calculate? So the direct material cost per unit plus direct labor cost per unit, okay, plus variable factory overhead costs, and also plus the fixed factory overhead costs. That's why in absorption costing, we include variable overhead and also the fixed overhead. So total equals to total product cost per unit. So what does it mean by variable cost? Okay, the direct material, the direct labor and variable factory overhead is the variable manufacturing cost, while the fixed factory overhead cost per unit is fixed manufacturing cost. So that's mean in absorption costing, it must include variable costs and also the fixed overhead costs. Okay, now we look at the definition of marginal costing. Okay, in marginal costing, only direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead costs are considered as product costs, while the fixed manufacturing costs are recognized as a period cost. Period cost means expenses, and it is only used for internal by management only. So how to calculate the product cost per unit is direct material cost per unit plus direct labor cost per unit plus variable factory overhead costs equals to total product cost per unit. So you can see that in marginal costing, there are no fixed overheads. Okay, so this three item is variable manufacturing costs. Okay, so if you want to compare between the absorption costing and marginal costing, okay, there are three differences. Okay, first is by the computation of product cost per unit. Okay, and secondly, the treatment of fixed manufacturing overhead costs. And thirdly, the format of income statement. Okay, after this, we will see what is the difference between these three items. Okay. Okay, now. Okay. The first difference is the computation of product cost per unit. Okay, for absorption costing, just now I have explained. Okay. To calculate the product cost per unit is direct material cost plus direct labor cost per unit plus variable factory overhead cost per unit and plus fixed factory overhead cost per unit. And it equals to total product cost per unit. Okay, you can see that it must include the variable factory overhead and also the fixed factory overhead. And for marginal costing, okay, direct material cost per unit plus direct labor cost per unit plus variable factory overhead cost per unit equals to total product cost per unit. So please bear in mind that in marginal cost, there is no fixed factory overhead to calculate the total product cost per unit. Okay, that is the difference number one. Okay, next. Okay, next we look at the example. The Premium Product Corporation manufactured a sealant called Fix It for a car windshield. Relevant data for Fix It in January 2020, that is the first month of production, are as follows. The selling price is RM2 per unit and the production unit is 30,000, sold unit is 20,000 and the beginning inventory equals to 0. For variable cost, the manufacturing is RM9, that is the direct material, RM5, direct labor RM3, direct overhead is RM1. And the variable cost for selling and administration expenses is RM2 per unit. While the fixed cost, the manufacturing overhead cost is 120,000 and the fixed for selling and administration expenses equals to 15,000. And you are required to calculate the total product cost per unit using absorption costing and marginal costing. Okay, now we look at the answer. Okay, for absorption costing, direct material cost per unit is RM5. Okay, the direct labor cost per unit is RM3 and the variable factory overhead cost per unit is RM1. And the fixed factory overhead cost you have to calculate per unit. Okay, that is the total fixed manufacturing overhead divided by unit produced. That is the 120,000 divide by 30,000 unit. This figure is in the question just now. So for fixed factory overhead cost per unit equals to 4 ringgit. And then we can get the total product cost per unit is 13 ringgit. And for marginal costing, okay, the direct material cost per unit is 5 ringgit. The direct labor cost per unit is 3 ringgit. The variable factory overhead cost per unit is 1 ringgit. Okay, so in marginal costing, there are no fixed factory overhead. So the total product cost per unit is 9 ringgit. Okay, that is how you calculate the total product cost per unit using absorption costing and marginal costing. Okay, next we look at the different number 2, that is the treatment of manufacturing overhead costs. Okay, as you know that in absorption costing, there are variable costs and also the fixed costs. But in marginal costing, there are only the variable costs. So, what is the treatment for the fixed manufacturing overhead costs in these two costing? Okay, so in absorption costing, it is considered as the fixed manufacturing overhead is considered as the product cost. That's why when you calculate the product cost per unit just now, you have to add the fixed manufacturing overhead. But in marginal costing, there are no fixed manufacturing overhead. So what is the treatment of the fixed manufacturing overhead? Okay, in marginal costing, the fixed manufacturing overhead is considered as a period cost. That means the fixed manufacturing overhead is an expenses in marginal costing. Okay, now we look at the different number 3, that is the format of income statement. Okay, in absorption costing and marginal costing, the format of income statement is different. As you know that the absorption costing is apply the GAAP, while the marginal costing is not apply the GAAP format. So in absorption costing, okay, the format of income statement is same as you used to do. Okay, so we start with sales minus cost of goods sold, then you can get the gross profit. And then gross profit minus selling and administrative expenses, then we get net profit, or we suffer loss, net loss. Yeah. Okay, this is the format of absorption costing that you use to prepare. Okay, ini biasa ya. Ini adalah format yang biasa kita gunakan sebelum ini. That's why it apply the GAAP. Okay, now how about the marginal costing of income statement format? Okay, it is different. Okay, when you say about marginal costing, it must related to contribution margin. So now we look at the format. Okay, the format is sales minus variable cost. Okay, so the variable cost consists of variable cost of goods sold and variable selling and administrative expenses. So the total variable cost, okay, minus with sales, then you get the contribution margin. Okay, do you still remember of contribution margin? Okay, contribution margin means sales minus variable cost. Okay, after that, the contribution margin minus the fixed cost. And the fixed cost consists of fixed factory overhead or fixed manufacturing overhead, and also fixed selling and administrative expenses. So you get the total fixed cost, contribution margin minus the fixed cost equals to net profit. Okay, this is the new format that you learn today. Yeah. Okay, we look at example 2. Sujana Shamberhat started its business in 2020. The following information was available for December 2020. In this question, the beginning inventory equals to 0. The unit sold is 10,000 unit. The unit produced or production is 12,000. And the selling price per unit is 30 ringgit. Okay, and then it also gives you the variable factory cost per unit for direct material, direct labor and overhead. And also, it given you the variable selling and administrative cost per unit, that is RM2.50. The fixed factory cost per year, 72,000. And the fixed selling and administration cost per year is 36,000. And then you are required to prepare the absorption and marginal comprehensive income statement for the month ended 31st December 2020. Okay, so how to prepare the statement? Okay, by using the format I have shown you before. Okay, so for absorption costing, one, you have to calculate the unit product. Okay, how to calculate the absorption unit product? Direct material per unit is RM6. Direct labor per unit is RM4. The variable factory overhead per unit is RM2. All this is in the question. And then plus fixed factory overhead per unit. You have to remember, you have to calculate per unit for fixed factory overhead. So, the formula is the total fixed factory overhead divided by unit produced equals to RM6,000 divided by 12,000 unit. So equals to 50 cents per unit. So the total unit cost equals to RM12.50 for absorption costing. And then we calculate for marginal costing. Okay, direct material per unit is RM6. The direct labor per unit is RM4. The variable factory overhead per unit is RM2. Okay, that's all. Okay, and then the total unit cost equals to RM12. Okay, the total unit cost for marginal costing normally is lower than the absorption costing because in marginal costing, it doesn't include the fixed factory overhead. Okay. Okay, then you can prepare the income statement. Okay, so to prepare the income statement, first of all, you have to write down the title. Sujana Shamberhat, income statement, absorption costing for the month ended 31st December 2020. Okay, so we start with sales, 300,000. That is 10,000 unit is the unit sales. Multiply by the sales price. The sales price per unit is RM30, and then minus the cost of goods sold. Okay, the beginning inventory is 0 plus cost of goods manufactured. Okay, so how to calculate? Okay, the unit production multiplied by the unit total unit for absorption costing. Yeah, just now that we calculate just now. So equals to 150,000. So the cost of goods available for sale is 150,000 minus ending inventory. So how to calculate the ending inventory? Okay, the ending inventory unit multiply with RM12.50 equals to 25,000. Okay, so the cost of goods sold is 125,000 minus with the sales, then you get gross profit 175,000. Okay, and then less minus administrative expenses, that is the fixed selling and administrative 3,000 and variable selling and administrative 25,000. Okay, so equals to total expenses is 28,000. So you get the net profit 147,000. Okay, now we look at the marginal costing of income statement. First of all, write down the title, Sujana Syamberhan, income statement, marginal costing. You have to write down the marginal costing or absorption costing, for the month ended 31st December 2020. Okay, we start with sales, 300,000 minus variable cost. Okay, so variable cost in cost of goods sold equals to beginning inventory 0 plus cost of goods manufactured 144,000 equals to cost of goods available for sale 144,000 minus ending inventory 24,000. So you get the adjustment cost of goods sold is 120,000. And one more is the variable selling and administrative 25,000. So the total for variable costs are 145,000. So sales minus the variable cost equals to contribution margin 155,000. Okay, and then you minus with the fixed cost. That is consists of fixed manufacturing overhead 6,000 and the fixed selling and administrative expenses 3,000. So the total fixed cost is 9,000. And then contribution margin minus the fixed cost equals to net profit 146,000. Okay, then you can see that that is the different net profit of marginal costing and also the absorption costing. Okay, by the way, to prepare the income statement, you have to know whether the company used the actual costing or a normal costing. Okay, do you remember the actual costing? Okay, actual costing means actual direct material plus actual direct labor plus actual overhead. While for normal costing equals to actual direct material plus actual direct labor plus applied overhead. So, before you prepare the income statement, you have to determine whether the company used the actual costing or the normal costing. The company, the example just now is the actual costing because it don't have the applied overhead. Okay, if the question, okay, said it has the predetermined rate or whatever, so that's mean the company use the normal costing. Okay, so to prepare the absorption costing using the normal costing, okay, sales minus cost of goods sold, that is the beginning inventory plus cost of goods manufactured equals to cost of goods available for sale minus ending inventory, so equals to cost of goods sold. Okay, in normal costing, it must have under-applied or over-applied. If under-applied, you have to plus, or if it is the over-applied overhead, you have to minus. Okay, and then you get the adjustment cost of goods sold. So, sales minus adjustment cost of goods sold, you get the gross profit. So, what is the difference in normal costing is under-applied or over-applied. So, you have to bear in mind, if under-applied, you have to plus. If over-applied, you have to minus. Okay, and then you continue. Okay, the gross profit minus operational expenses, that is the fixed selling administrative or variable selling administrative, then you get the net profit. Okay, so you have to note that.
Excuse me, Madam Fizi.
Okay.
Kita rehat sebentar dengan iklannya.
Okay. Okay, stay tuned.
Okay.
Alah, apa ni? PKPB lagi. SPM pula ditangguhkan. Jenuhlah nak bayar yuran tuition. Pernah dengar tentang tuition percuma? Kami di Akademi YouTuber menyediakan tuition online secara percuma kepada anda semua. Ada prasekolah, sekolah rendah, sekolah menengah, STPM, juga untuk matrikulasi. Percuma je. Jom layari laman sesawang www.academyyoutuber.com.
Okay, so kita sambung balik Cikgu Lee, ya.
Okay.
Okay, alright. Okay, so we continue. Okay, so I want you to note that for income statement, for absorption costing, it might be actual costing or normal costing, but for marginal costing, normally it is the actual costing. Okay, so next, okay, just now we can see that, yeah, the absorption costing net profit is 147,000, while for the marginal costing, the net profit equals to 146,000. Okay, so there is a difference about 1,000 ringgit. So in your mind, what does it exist? Why does it exist the difference of 1,000 ringgit? Okay, so in absorption costing, only partial of the fixed manufacturing overhead is expenses, and it depends on the unit sold. But in marginal costing, all of the fixed manufacturing overhead is considered as expenses. Okay, and part of the fixed overhead is absorbed by the ending inventory, and it depends on the unsold unit. But in marginal costing, there is no portion of fixed manufacturing overhead cost is absorbed by the ending inventory. So you can see that the difference of the net profit between the absorption costing and marginal costing is because of the fixed manufacturing overhead. That is, no portion of fixed manufacturing overhead in marginal costing. Okay, so what is the reason of the difference of profit? Okay, in absorption costing, the fixed overhead costs are a product cost, while in marginal costing, the fixed overhead costs are a period cost, that is expenses. So in absorption costing, overhead costs are applied to products and the fixed overhead costs are inventoried, but in marginal costing, overhead costs are charged to expenses and the fixed overhead costs are not inventoried. Okay, so because of there is a difference, okay, in the net profit between the absorption costing and marginal costing, so you have to make a reconciliation ataupun pelarasan. Okay, so what is the format? Okay, we start with net profit under absorption costing plus fixed overhead in beginning inventory minus fixed overhead in ending inventory. It must equals to net profit under marginal costing. Okay, for example of the Sujana Berhad just now, okay, the net profit under the absorption costing in 147,000 plus fixed overhead in beginning inventory is 0. Yeah, just now is 0. Okay, kalau ada amount kita buatlah, but in this example just now is 0. Okay, and then minus fixed overhead in ending inventory. Okay, that is the fixed overhead just now we calculate is 50 cent. Okay, and the ending inventory unit is 2000. So equals to 1000. Okay, and then it must equals to the net profit under marginal costing, that is 146,000. Let's say you didn't have this figure, you have to check back. Okay, it must be wrong somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so or you can use another format. Okay, just terbalikkan saja the format, that is the net profit under marginal costing plus fixed overhead in inventory, ending inventory, minus fixed overhead in beginning inventory, and it must equals to net profit under absorption costing. Okay, the format, the first one and the second one actually is same. Okay, kita just now the absorption costing is at the top, and this one the marginal costing, the net profit of marginal costing is at the top. Yeah. Okay, so for example of Sujana Berhad just now, net profit under marginal costing is 146,000 plus fixed overhead in ending inventory is 1,000 minus fixed overhead in beginning inventory is 0. So it must equals to net profit under absorption costing 147,000. Okay, we look at example 3. Okay, the following is the information collected from Syarikat Sinar Jaya for the year 2013, 2014 and 2015. Okay, it has given the variable cost per unit and the yearly fixed cost. Okay, next is the sales of production in unit. Okay, you can see that in 2013, 2014 and 2015, it given you the production unit and the sales unit, but for the beginning inventory and the ending inventory is the question mark. Okay, so after this you have to calculate. And then it given you the selling price per unit is 30 ringgit. Okay, now you are required to A, calculate the product cost per unit using the absorption costing and marginal costing for 3 years. And then B, prepare the income statement for the year ended 2013 and 2014 using absorption costing and marginal costing approach. Okay, before we start answering the question, okay, let us calculate what is the ending inventory for 2013. Okay, so how to calculate the beginning inventory plus sales? So it equals to 1,000 unit. Okay, and then for 2000, the beginning inventory for 2014 is come from the ending inventory 2013. So the beginning inventory for 2014 is 1,000. Okay, and now we have to calculate the ending inventory for 2014. Okay, beginning inventory 1,000 plus the production unit 5,000 minus sales 5,000. So the ending inventory equals to 1,000 unit. And the beginning inventory for 2015 is same with ending inventory 2014. So 1,000 the beginning inventory in 2015. Okay, now we calculate the ending inventory for 2015. That is 1,000 the beginning inventory plus the production unit 4,000. So equals to 5,000. And then minus sales unit 5,000. So what is the ending inventory? Equals to 0. Okay. Now, look at the production unit and the sales unit. Okay, for 2013, okay, the production unit is higher than the sales unit. For 2014, the production unit equals to sales unit. For 2015, the production unit is lower than the sales unit. So after this, we will look what is the effect. Okay, now we answer the question. Okay. First of all, you have to identify whether the syarikat Sinarjaya using actual costing or normal costing. Okay, the answer is they are using the actual costing. Okay. Now, okay. So, we calculate the product cost per unit. Yeah. For absorption costing for 2013, 14 and 15. Okay, we start with direct material cost, that is 3 ringgit each year. The direct labor cost is 6 ringgit each year. And the variable overhead cost is 1 ringgit each year. Okay, and then plus with fixed overhead costs. Okay, how to calculate the fixed overhead cost? Equals to total fixed overhead, okay, divide by production unit. Okay, so for 2013 is 12 ringgit, 2014 is 12 ringgit, but 2015 is 15 ringgit. Okay, you look at the production unit. Okay, so the total product cost per unit for 2013 is 22 ringgit. For 2014 is 22 ringgit and for 2015 is 25 ringgit. Okay, now we calculate the marginal costing, product cost per unit. Okay, we start with direct material cost 3 ringgit, direct labor cost 6 ringgit and variable overhead cost 1 ringgit. Okay, that's all. Don't plus the fixed because it is the marginal costing. So the total product cost per unit for 2013 is 10 ringgit. Same goes to 2014 and 2015. Okay, because in marginal costing, it does not have the fixed variable overhead cost. Okay, and then for income statement, 2013 and 2014 for absorption costing. Okay, for 2013, sales is 120,000. Okay, beginning inventory 0. Cost of goods manufactured is 110,000 equals to 110,000 minus any inventory 22,000 equals to cost of goods sold 88,000. The gross profit is 32,000. And then minus the operating expenses, the variable selling and administrative expenses is 8,000. The fixed selling and administrative expenses is 10,000 equals to 18,000. So you get the net profit 14,000. Okay, all this figure, okay, you can get from the question just now. Okay, for 2014, sales equals to 150,000. Okay, for beginning inventory is come from the ending inventory 2013, that is 22,000 plus 110,000, the cost of goods manufactured equals to 132,000 minus ending inventory 22,000. So you get the cost of goods sold 110,000 and the gross profit equals to 40,000 less the operational expenses. For the variable is 10,000 and the fixed cost is 10,000 also. And then the total operating expenses is 20,000. Then you get the profit 20,000. Okay, that is for the absorption costing. Okay, for marginal costing, for 2013, sales is 120,000. Okay, minus the variable cost. The variable cost consists of the variable cost of goods sold. Beginning inventory is 0 plus cost of good manufactured 50,000. So the cost of good available for sale is 50,000 minus the ending inventory 10,000. So the variable cost of goods sold is 40,000. And then plus the variable selling and administrative, that is 8,000. Okay, so the total variable cost is 48,000. Then you get the contribution margin 72,000. And then you minus the fixed cost. Consists of factory overhead 60,000 and the selling and administrative expenses for the fixed cost is 10,000. Okay, so the total for fixed cost is 70,000. Then you get or you earn net profit 2,000. Okay, for 2014, the sales is 150,000. Okay, and for variable cost, the beginning inventory is come from the ending inventory 2013. That is 10,000. Plus 50,000, the cost of good manufactured equals to 60,000 minus ending inventory 10,000. So the variable cost for 2014 is 50,000 plus the administrative and selling and administrative variable is 10,000. So the total variable cost is 60,000. Sales minus the variable cost equals to contribution margin 90,000. Then you minus the fixed cost. Okay, the factory overhead is 60,000 and the selling and administrative expenses is 10,000 equals to the total fixed cost 70,000. Then the net profit for 2014 is 20,000. Okay, so what can you see from the net profit? For 2017, the net profit for absorption costing is 14,000. For marginal costing is 2,000. That's mean in 2013, the net profit for absorption costing is bigger than the net profit in marginal costing. While in 2014, the net profit in absorption costing is 20,000 and the net profit for marginal costing is also 20,000. So that's mean the net profit of absorption costing is equals with net profit of marginal costing. Okay, so why does it happen? Kenapa ada yang bigger or greater and why ada yang equal? Sama. So, okay. Now we look why, okay, the effect on the net profit. Okay. If the unit production is bigger than the unit sales, then you can get net profit of absorption costing must be bigger than the net profit of marginal costing. And if the production unit equals to the sales unit, that is for 2014, okay. So, and constant inventory, okay. So you can get the net profit of absorption costing equals to net profit of marginal costing. Okay, this is the effect on net profit. So that's why just now, okay, I highlight about the production unit and the sales unit. When we calculate the beginning inventory and also the ending inventory just now. Okay. Based on the Syarikat Sinar Jaya just now, for the income statement for the year ended 2015, okay, by using absorption costing and marginal costing approach, okay, so we can see here for 2015, for absorption costing, sales is 150,000, the beginning inventory is 22,000, the cost of good manufactured is 100,000. So for the cost of goods available for sale is 122,000 minus the ending inventory 0. Okay, just now we calculate the ending inventory unit is 0, right? Okay, so the cost of goods sold equals to 122,000 minus with the sales, then you get the gross profit 28,000 and then minus the operation or operating expenses. Okay, for variable is 10,000 and for fixed is 10,000. So the operating expenses equals to 20,000. So you get the net profit 8,000. That is the absorption costing. Okay, so while for marginal costing, sales is 150,000 minus the variable cost. The variable cost of goods sold, the beginning inventory is 10,000. The cost of goods manufactured is 40,000 equals to goods available for sale is 50,000 minus the ending inventory 0. So the variable cost of goods sold is 50,000 and you have to add the variable for selling and administrative expenses. that is 10,000. Okay, so the total variable cost is 60,000. So minus sales minus the variable cost equals to contribution margin 90,000. Okay, and then the contribution margin you deduct with the fixed cost. Okay, the factory overhead is 60,000 and the selling and administrative is 10,000. So total to 70,000. And you can get the net profit for marginal costing is 20,000. Okay, now we look at the effect. Yeah, if the production unit is smaller than the sales unit, then the net profit of absorption costing is smaller than the net profit of marginal costing. Okay, after this, I want you to look back at the questionnaire. Okay, so lastly, what is the advantages and disadvantages if you use the absorption costing or if you use the marginal costing? Okay, there must be advantages and disadvantages. Okay, now we look at the absorption costing. Okay, the advantages for using the absorption costing is the use of absorption costing is wider than the marginal costing. It means that majority of the company is using the absorption costing. Okay, why? Because it follows the GAAP, that is the General Accepted Accounting Principle, and it is suitable for external reporting purposes. Because it includes fixed manufacturing overhead costs in valuation of product costs. Okay, anyway, it also have the disadvantages if we use the absorption costing. Okay, what are the advantages? Disadvantages. Okay, if we use the absorption costing, it is not suitable for management performance evaluation and the cost analysis. Okay, and number 2, the estimation of fixed overhead will influence the accuracy of product costs. Okay, why it is not suitable for management performance evaluation and cost analysis? Because in the cost, it includes two costing, that is the variable overhead and also the fixed overhead. So it is not so suitable for management performance evaluation. Okay, so these are the disadvantages. Okay, now we look at the marginal costing. In marginal costing, it also has advantages and disadvantages. Now, first of all, we look at the advantages. Okay, firstly, if we use the marginal costing, okay, it is suitable for measurement and cost analysis to provide relevant information in helping management for planning, controlling, and decision making. Why? Because it differentiates or it separates the cost between variable cost and fixed cost. Okay, if they separate the variable cost and fixed cost, so it is easy for management to make cost analysis. And one more, the advantages. The effect of sales changes on net profit is easily to identify because it shows changes in margin contribution. Okay, what is the margin contribution? Sales minus variable costs. Okay, so it's easy for management to identify the effect of the sales changes on the net profit. Anyhow, it also have the disadvantages. Okay, so firstly, it is limited to internal user only. So who is the internal user? The management and the workers of the company only. Because why it is not suitable for external user? Because the marginal costing does not follow the GAAP. I mean the reporting of the marginal costing does not follow the GAAP. So it is limited to internal user only. And secondly, it is difficult to differentiate cost behavior between variable costs and fixed costs because it is usually based on estimation. So that is also the disadvantages. And thirdly, it is expensive. Why it is expensive? Because it has to prepare two types of report. That is internal and also external. The internal is using the marginal costing. The external is using the absorption costing. Why they still need to prepare the absorption costing format? Because the company have to send the report for audit. So the audit must follow the GAAP. Okay, so that's why it is expensive. Okay, so I think that's all for topic 9. Okay, thank you very much. So saya serahkan semula kepada moderator Cikgu Lee.
Okey, terima kasih kepada Madam Fizi atas perkongsian yang sangat bersahaja dan menarik ini. Tahniah diucapkan kepada semua yang setia bersama kelas pada malam ini dari awal sehingga ke saat ini. Untuk makluman, link CJ boleh didapatkan pada ruangan chat. Sila beri perhatian. Link tersebut akan tamat tempohnya iaitu 30 minit selepas sesi live ini. Pastikan anda menggunakan email yang betul. Kesalahan memasukkan email tidak akan dilayan. Sebagai tanda penghargaan, marilah kita like, subscribe dan share channel presenter kita malam ini, Madam Fizi. Sekarang dijemput ahli-ahli konti kita memberi sepatah dua kata. Kita mula dengan host controller dulu. Cikgu Faiza, dipersilakan.
Okey. Terima kasih Cikgu Lee. Okey, selamat malam semua kepada pelajar di luar sana. Sorry hari ni suara cikgu batuk sikit serak. Okey, apa ni tahniah Cikgu Fizi Madam Fizi, a very interesting topic tonight. Okey. Cikgu banyak belajar, a very well explanation. I learned a lot of things. Okay. So all students out there, please do subscribe, share and like channel Madam Fizi. Okay. Alright, thank you.
Okey, terima kasih kepada Cikgu Faiza. Diikuti dengan pemerhati Cikgu JDE. Dipersilakan.
Ya, terima kasih Cikgu Lee. Mula-mula sekali saya ingin mengucapkan tahniah kepada Madam Fizi kerana telah menyampaikan topik absorption cost dengan marginal cost dengan jelas, costing dengan jelas, dan saya juga faham apakah advantages dan disadvantages about marginal costing dan juga absorption costing, dan dengan contoh dan langkah demi langkah yang jelas, memang saya dapati satu penyampaian yang jelas lah. Saya juga rasa pelajar-pelajar memang dapat manfaat daripada pengajaran Cikgu Fizi. Jadi saya berharap pelajar-pelajar yang suka penyampaian ini boleh subscribe Madam Fizi punya channel. Okey, itu saja. Terima kasih.
Okey, terima kasih kepada Cikgu JDE. Okey, terima kasih atas ucapan dan kata-kata sokongan ahli-ahli konti. Kelas yang seterusnya adalah pada hari dan waktu yang sama iaitu pada minggu hadapan pada hari Rabu 9.30 malam. Sila layari www.academyyoutuber.com untuk dapatkan info terkini dan jadual kelas tuition percuma. Anda juga boleh vote cikgu-cikgu kegemaran anda di portal ini. Jom, kongsikan portal AYU kepada rakan-rakan dan guru-guru seluruh Malaysia. Juga diingatkan, semua kelas online percuma ini boleh ditonton semula melalui link yang disediakan di portal AYU. Semoga kita mendapat manfaat daripada kelas-kelas yang dijalankan. Sekian, terima kasih dan selamat malam kepada semua. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Berikutan pengumuman penutupan sekolah sehingga akhir persekolahan. Pengajaran dan pembelajaran secara home-based learning tetap diteruskan. Oleh itu, kami di Akademi YouTuber menyediakan tuition online percuma pertama di Malaysia dari prasekolah hinggalah ke sekolah menengah dengan kerjasama E-Didik Malaysia dan Kelab Guru Malaysia. Kenapa bayar jika anda boleh dapat percuma? Bermula percuma, selamanya akan percuma. Manfaatkan peluang yang ada. Jangan tunggu lagi, startilah sekarang. Untuk maklumat lanjut, layari www.academyyoutuber.com.
Dibawakan kepada anda oleh Akademi YouTube.